Welcome back to my channel at The Movie Optimist, where I try and find the silver linings in even the worst of films. Kevin Feige just went on record during an interview talking about how in the future of the MCU, we're going to see Captain America again. And not Sam Wilson's, but Steve Rogers. And you're going to see Tony Stark again. Not Riri Williams, literally Tony Stark. And you're going to see the classic Avengers show back up, played by different characters. Essentially, after Doomsday and Secret Wars, they're not rebooting the MCU, but they're kind of wiping clean the original Earth and starting fresh on a new one. And it makes sense because then you could allow different actors to come in and take on the mantle of these iconic characters. Chris Evans can pass the baton to this new actor. Robert Downey Jr. can pass the baton to this new actor taking on Tony Stark. And I see a lot of people complaining about this, saying, oh, why don't you just bring back Chris Evans? It was working when he was there. And why don't you just bring back Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark? It was working when he was there. And Robert Downey Jr. is kind of an old man at this point. I mean, he's, I think, almost 60, and Chris Evans is getting up there in age. He wants to branch out and do some other roles while he's still young enough to pull them off. And they had their time. We had a trilogy of Captain America movies. We had a trilogy of Iron Man movies. He saved the day in Avengers Endgame and sacrificed his life for everybody. I think that this is genius because I don't want to see a world where the X-Men exist and the Avengers do not. I've already gotten X-Men movies, and I'm not saying that Disney can't do it better and give us something fresh and unique, but one of the draws for me, knowing that Marvel was going to be adapting a new X-Men saga, was that they're also going to get to interact with the Avengers, which we never got to see with the Fox universe. And instead of bringing back old icons that wouldn't really be able to accurately play the role now, they're going to introduce new versions of them due to the multiverse, and those will be our new Captain America and Steve Rogers characters. And I don't even think we necessarily need to get new Captain America movies or new Iron Man movies. We already had great ones, but what you do need is to have these big epic team-up events like an Avengers film, but now you need to have it with the X-Men. So even though after Secret Wars we're going to be focusing solely on the X-Men and the Fantastic Four, I think when these larger-than-life, outside of Galactus, who apparently can get beaten by just 4 superheroes, when there's these larger-than-life threats like a Thanos and the X-Men need backup, we could bring in the Avengers, and you don't necessarily need to be making an Avengers movie, an X-Men movie, an Avengers movie, an X-Men movie. It could just be X-Men, 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 X-Men. Now let's have this big team-up superhero flick, and we know that there's a Steve Rogers played by Ryan Gosling out there in the world, so he's going to come and help us, and he's just going to get his little story arcs introduced in these big level event films, and that's where these new characters are going to kind of reside. To everyone complaining about it, I would pump the brakes a little bit, because it's either that or you're never going to get to see an X-Men and Avengers team-up movie. At least not with the iconic characters like Iron Man, like Captain America, like Thor, because not for nothing, Chris Hemsworth is probably done after Secret Wars. So if you want to see any of the X-Men, team up with a Thor, they're going to need to be recast. And I think that this is actually a really smart thing as long as they execute it properly. But what do you guys think? Are you excited to see new characters take on the mantle? I am, because it kind of brings that hype back to like who's going to be the new Bond? Who's going to be the new Batman? Now it's who's going to be the new Captain America? Who's going to be the new Iron Man? And who knows? The people that they cast might play it better than those that came before it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And as always, I hope you have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you next time.